So it seems like we're grabbing around out there trying to find things somewhere here. But first I'm concerned, till this last 3 or 4 minutes here, I'm concerned about when you talk about going forward with this. I have to ask, how much are you asking us to invest in our venture capitalist enterprise?
I don't understand the question.
What's it going to cost us to get the data we need to be able to make an intelligent decision?
Both the city and county have already signed contracts with our firm. I think our estimate was somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000, I think was what it would cost. Total, that's split between the two entities. So I think it's costing you less than $10,000, I believe, and we've already billed some time against that. We already have most of the preliminary numbers.
And that was the next question I have. From what I'm hearing, you have some of the preliminary.
Oh yes, and we've already shared some of those preliminary numbers. We did not share those last two zip codes, Talmadge and Calpella, that we most recently pulled out last week. So we actually know what the amounts are. Where we haven't reached agreement is some of those issues. What is the exact, does it make sense to follow that zip code geographic boundary? What's the percentage split that we're talking about? Is it more reflective of what you had discussed a couple of years ago? Is it going to be benched if it's a pre-annexation agreement? Though there are some other issues that have not been fully fleshed out. They've been talked about, and both parties have been educated on what they are, but they have not been completely agreed upon. But I think that we could actually, frankly, I do believe that there's goodwill going forward and that we could reach an agreement with all parties and then go and involve both councils to draft something to bring you, whether you want to act on it now or you want to act on it in several months, but at least the precepts would have all been agreed to.
Well, I think here I'm sympathetic to the idea of getting as much detail and getting that together, and it sounds like you're doing an awful lot of work for not usually exorbitant.
We're very reasonable.
You sound very reasonable. Maybe you can do my taxes for me. Not that there's much you have to worry about. But the question I have here, I guess, is what if the large retailer in or out of the city or the county and so forth weren't in this equation?
I don't think that it would matter one way or another.
Okay.
I do think it will matter to you when it happens.
Yes, okay.
And I think it will matter if they're cited in a place that you'd be happy with. And that's really the question.
Or if they simply went away, or if they simply said, we don't care, we're going to make a decision.
We're not doing an estimate of what they may or may not
That's
bring
what I
to the
want to make
table.
sure.
No.
That's not driving this discussion.
It's nowhere
even
in it.
implicitly.
I think it's what prompted the calls from the two bodies to us.
Right.
But I don't think it certainly hasn't been part of the discussion.
And then we come to the issue that goes just a little bit beyond this, because there's a concern here. If we do this with one city, we do it with all cities. Would the model that we use here, or you would develop here for this, be able to be transferred? Would it benefit us to use this as the starting point, or should we be worrying about, say, working with Point Arena with a much smaller base? The methodology you would use and so on, or are using, is this something that you're comfortable with, the way in which the data is being collected, and it's our call as to what area codes are included?
Yes.
Excuse me.
I do think that one of the things that Tom specifically asked when he first called me was, he wants to have something that's reproducible, so that the
okay, that's good. That's good enough.
That staff is not having to relearn how to do this for another location.
Right. Okay. That's good. Okay. That's answer my questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Pinches.
This is a question for County Council. Prop 42 mandates that all sales tax for gasoline and diesel goes for transportation projects, for transportation dollars, right? Does that include the 1% local sales tax? I guess it does, right?
That I don't know.
Well, because,
sure.
if it does, then my question would be, how can you take those, because gas stations and diesel sales are a huge part of our sales tax in Mendocino County, as it is in all counties. So what you would be effectively doing is diverting some of those sales tax dollars that were supposed to go for transportation into other areas.
I can address
if you
that.
include that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I can address that. The
Sergeant,
state
please.
actually collects 1.25%. They take that one, there's a 0.25% that they give the county for transportation funds. That 0.25% is the same 0.25% that they're playing with right now, which they're doing your triple flip with. So it's the ERAF money that you're talking about. That's your 0.25%.
No, I'm talking about the Prop 42 that mandated that the sales tax of gasoline and diesel, which has only been in the last 3 years, goes for transportation related
Correct. That's that
projects.
same 0.25%, and that is the transportation tax that you get from the state. The state actually does that calculation for you.
The law says, Prop 42 says that all of the sales tax
I
from
understand.
gasoline and diesel goes for transportation.
I understand that, but you don't actually administer that. So if you do a sales tax agreement, it's not going to be a problem. The state already makes that calculation for you.
They utilize
You get
what
a
they
quarter
have.
How
coming.
can they make a calculation when your sales tax on gasoline and diesel varies every week because it's a percentage of
They
your
actually,
sales?
when they collect the money, you get your monies in arrears. They make the money, they make the collections, they do the allocation.